Hi, and welcome to episode 5 of Bet on People. And today I have Kaushik with me. He is an engineer turned marketer and he works as a product marketer at Survey Sparrow. And he also has a very interesting side hustle, a food delivery startup out of Vellore in Chennai. Over to you, Kaushik. Hi.
Hi, Sneh. So I'm really happy to be here on your podcast. I watched all your episodes on Bet on People, so it's really great to be here.
Thank you so
And
much.
yes, to start with, yeah, thank you. So it's just the side hustle was basically I started it last year when the first wave of COVID hit us all so badly. So we were not able to step out of our homes and we were not able to get all our essentials. So that's when I had this idea to start something. Maybe the idea was just to employ at least one job affected because of COVID. There were a lot of people who lost their jobs due to COVID, and I just wanted to hire one delivery executive and just give him an opportunity. So that's how I started it.
That's
And
amazing.
so I
So, do
just
you have a special connection with food, or was it just the idea because there was a limited availability of food? There were a lot of issues in the beginning when the lockdown first started. A lot of companies that usually deliver groceries, they didn't know what to do. So, for 1 week, we were kind of scrambling about. So, was it that the need,
yeah.
or do you? I mean, of course, we all love food, but do
So
you have a special connection with it?
yes, I actually started it in September. So basically, I was just trying to figure out because COVID is also new for me also. So I didn't know what to do and how to get started with my side hustle or how to start a business, whether I want to do this or that. So I was just trying to figure it out. So I started. It is almost September because March to July is where we were all badly, in need of a lot of things and we were not getting it. So I kind of figured it out and I thought, okay, so let's start it out. Let's give it a shot and let's see how it goes. So that's all it was planned. So and I really, maybe regret it. I should have started it a little bit earlier, maybe in June or July. I would have helped a lot of people, but I just planned it after July. So I kickstarted, not very big plan and all. I just immediately after having a plan, I just named it as Easy Eats. So
Brilliant.
because there was Uber Eats, so I was just thinking,
No, that's brilliant,
easy
right?
access.
You don't have to be number one or even be like the come up with like a grand name because that's what I do. Like I buy a domain and I think that this name has to be like the best name in the entire universe, and that's not true. Like the simpler it is to understand, the better it is. And I love that you just took Uber Eats, made it Easy Eats, and you just went with it. I love that shoot first mentality. So, how long did it take you from that idea to conception to execution? What was that time frame?
So it's basically 4 days. People wouldn't believe. It's just
That's
4 days,
that's
I
amazing. Four
because
days.
yeah, the delivery associate who is working with me has already lost his job and badly looking for opportunities. And I had this idea of starting something and
Mhm.
maybe a food delivery service for people. So since I already had this Anna who is ready to join and just get started with the work, and since it's my town, I know a lot of people who runs hotels, and it's very easy to reach out to them and say, hey, this is the idea which I have, and let's
Amazing.
just partner. Yeah, so that's how it all started, and it took like 2 to 3 days, for me to reach out to all my friends and to random people who runs hotels, and I just told them, hey, I'm doing this. So right now I'm not going to invest anything in marketing.
Hmm.
So it's basically you do marketing for yourself. So it need not be from Easy Eats name. It can be from your name also, the hotel name.
Sure.
Just tell your regular customers that you have this service, and if you want to make use of it, you can always reach out to this number. And I gave my number there.
Amazing.
So
I mean, that's
yeah.
just like how simple it is, right? You identified the need, figured out this is what I want to do, found the right resource and just went with it, and it works. So is there no other, I mean, competition? Are hotels sort of or restaurants sort of doing this on their own where they deliver food?
Yeah, so basically we had Swiggy. We are
Okay.
still having Swiggy. But the delivery charge and the GST tax,
Ah,
everything,
yeah.
adds up to, almost 50 to 60% of your food cost, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you're ordering, let's say a shawarma for 110 rupees, you end up paying around 170 rupees on the whole. And
Tell
that
me
was,
about it.
and that might work for cities like Chennai, Bangalore, or Bombay, but it might not work for a small town, right? Because, paying 70 rupees plus the food expense is definitely not okay for a lot of people who are based out of town.
So
So
then,
what I thought is
mhm.
I should, yeah.
How,
So I just thought, okay, let me just, do the deliveries for 30 rupees, as less than 30 rupees, between 0 to 2 kilometers, whatever whoever is opting for deliveries, it's just 30 rupees. If their location is between 0 to 2 kilometers, and if if the distance is somewhere between 2 to 5, I'm still charging 40 rupees. And if it is more than 5, I'm actually telling them the price accordingly.
got it, got it. Okay, so, and how are you charging, let's say, the restaurants that come on board? Is it based on the number of orders that are being placed through your uh, company?
So that is something that I have to work on maybe in the future, because right
Okay,
now we are not, running on any margins with the hotels.
got
So
it.
it is basically whatever the food expense. So we are basically, it is not profitable. I just wanted to give the salary to my delivery executive on a monthly basis. So that's enough for me right now.
Understood.
So,
Okay.
and and I mean the delivery, every day we started with 5 deliveries, when we kick started Easy Eats, it was 5 deliveries a day, but right now it is around 30 to 35 deliveries a day.
That's
And he's
brilliant.
managing to do all by his own, and whatever the delivery charges that we earn on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, that is more than enough to give a salary to that Anna. So that is more than enough.
That's
And
brilliant.
yeah, so I was just thinking maybe, nail it first and then scale it. So
I love that. I
this is
mean,
something.
that's the whole. I was having this conversation with a friend the other day, and he is very passionate about education, and he's doing that right now, where he is teaching students online, and he wants to take that entire system online. And I guess we all know, right, that there's a huge problem with edtech platforms right now. They
Yeah,
spend so much on marketing and sales, and I mean, at some point, like, they're literally harassing you to get on board,
yeah,
when the focus should be the quality of the education. You shouldn't turn educators into salesperson and do all of that. And this is the exact thing that we were talking about, like creating a minimum viable product, testing it out, fine tuning it, and then taking it to market, and then scaling it, which you've done brilliantly. I mean, 4 days is insane. Have you by chance read
yes,
the 48 hours to startup? Because it sounds like you've just followed that exact template. That's exactly what
maybe.
it.
But I didn't actually read. I mean, I didn't read the book. So it is all because, I mean, it is easy for me to reach out to people in my own town, because maybe if I had started somewhere in Chennai or some other city, it might have been difficult for me because I wouldn't have known them.
Mhm.
Since I
Yeah.
already know these people, who I already have some of their contact numbers in my mobile, so it's very easy to drop a WhatsApp message and just check their availability and go meet them immediately. So I mean, it didn't take. It usually didn't. That will not take time when you're starting something from your own town. Yeah.
I think so many people forget that, like, they don't tap into their immediate network. They always want to make something,
Yes.
and they want to make something so big, and then they feel like, oh, why is this not working? I mean, you should make the people around you your micro brand ambassadors, and then the through word of mouth it spreads, and then you have something which is scalable. So if it wasn't this book, I'm assuming that either working at Survey Sparrow, or maybe you have some startup experience before, which sort of
Yeah.
motivated you to do this.
Definitely. So, yeah, Service Sparrow. So I started Easy Eats when I joined Service Sparrow. So that was the month I was joining Service Sparrow.
Love that.
So
How
earlier I
do
was
you take on so much? I mean, so you start a new job and you start a new side hustle. I mean, that's brilliant.
yes. Not a lot of my work. So I don't do. So I just created a dashboard to track all the orders and to track
Can
all the
we see
sales.
that? Can you give us a sneak peek into what that looks like?
That is actually in the product, which is right now. I'll definitely share it with you once the call is done because I have
Absolutely.
a computer. Yeah, I have a computer in a separate room
No
where
worries.
I
Yeah.
use a product called Busy.
Sorry,
Yeah,
what is the product?
Busy, BUSY.
Okay.
It's basically a billing product, a very
Ah,
basic product. And I've installed that in my computer, and we paid some 7,000 to get the product. So right now we are maintaining all the data
so
inside
is it's a one-time
us.
cost, right? It's not a
Yeah,
subscription.
it's a one-time cost. Yeah, it's a
That
one-time
I
cost.
think is really important because in the beginning when you're starting out, you don't necessarily want to add those recurring costs. You want something which is either
Exactly.
free or is like a one-time investment where you just buy it and then it just does the work for you. So
Yes.
also, is your engineering background something that is helping you sort of build out the dashboard? Are you using some type of no code platform? Are you doing all of that by yourself?
No, when you said dashboard, I didn't use any kind of no-code tool to build the dashboard. I mean, this is something that I'm planning for July. Maybe I'll be happy to share that. But still, there are a lot of things to do. Maybe can I share my screen?
Yeah, yeah,
Can you
absolutely.
make me the host? And the dashboard will look empty, just to let you know. But I'll just show you like what I'm planning and how I'm going to track all the expenses.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and share your screen.
So, basically, this is something that I'm planning for July. Uh, so this is going to be the customer name.
Hmm.
I mean, who is going to buy the food or who is going to order.
Right.
And this is going to be the customer phone number and the hotel name. So right now I've just named it as BCA Hotel and ABC Hotel, but here I will have all the hotels in the drop down. I
Hmm.
have to still work on the hotel names and the delivery man. The delivery person who is doing deliveries, his name is Mohan. So I've named it. And we have, so I just added my name also because at times when Mohan is very busy, caught up with multiple deliveries, I just go and deliver food also.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
put
Oh,
my name here.
I'm just like I'm loving this right now. This you getting down and dirty and actually getting the work done, which again, so many people don't want to do, right? They don't want to go out and figure out, okay, these are the problems that would happen with a delivery. This is what I have to figure out with logistics. They also get so caught up in the fact that, oh, I don't have the right resources, but then you can actually go and do it yourself. So
Yes.
I think Jeff Bezos did that. He used to deliver books himself, I think, in the beginning. And I think
Yes, yes, I've read.
the
Yeah, I've
the
read.
1 millionth order, he went and he delivered it himself. I mean, that's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, so this is how my dashboard will look like. So it is ordered by. So if the order is from our side, I name it as customer because we already have some set of customers
Mm-hmm.
who is regular. And if the order is coming to Easy Eats from the hotel, then we actually put it under hotel. And the delivery amount, right now the delivery amount is 5,000. Again, I'm just testing this out. I'm not sure how this is going to be. The delivery amount is just 30 rupees. And the address, the delivery address, again, this is not the address, right address. I just was just putting this as a placeholder. And the mode of payment, right now, the mode of payment is cash, and we have a couple of account as well. The bank account where people can, if they are going to go use Google Pay or Phone Pay, they can use these accounts as well. And the expenses. So this is expenses something that we do because we have our own petrol expense and
Mm-hmm.
we have
Yeah,
in case if the delivery associate is caught up, then we will have to provide them lunch and dinner. So you
sure.
can make use of the money and whatever money that we actually spend on a daily basis, everything will come here. And I have this tracker where I've just put some addition, subtraction, and all. I just put some formula, and so I'm just trying to calculate things. But again, so this is a very basic dashboard. So there are a lot of things to be done here. But yeah, this is just
This
the
this
basic one.
looks this looks amazing, and I think again, people think that you need to get started with like the fanciest tools and you have to invest all of that money, but Google Sheets, Google Docs, I mean, that should be your go-to. Uh,
Yes.
I'm sure you already follow Dave on LinkedIn, and that's what he does. Like when he started with his DGMG jobs, just put everything on a Google
Okay.
Docs and shared the link. And I've seen so many other companies also do that. They just put like a job description on Notion, share the link to Notion, right? You don't need to go
Yeah.
and pay for a job listing on LinkedIn. I mean, I guess LinkedIn is free, but Indeed and Naukri and on Monster and
Yeah.
all of that, you can just do that through like the basic tools that are available to you.
Yes.
Um,
Exactly.
so right now, how would one place an order? They give you a call, and then they relay the order to you. You let the restaurant know, and then that's the communication channel right now. It's happening over phone.
Yes. Exactly. So it's a lot of manual work right now, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
So, someone placing the order because I don't have a dedicated app for this to
Right.
run everything, to run the whole business. So what I'm doing is, since you said, are you using any no-code tool? So here I'm using a no-code tool called Glide. So I
Okay.
just built a web application
Mm-hmm.
using the no-code tool Glide. So where even in the Glide, I mean, if someone places the order, I'll not be able to know directly on their app. So they will have to call us.
Okay.
But there in the Glide, so the one problem that I'm trying to solve is I just want to give all the menu cards of all the hotels in the Glide app, so that the one call is reduced.
Yeah.
Because every time what happens is they call us first, they will get to know what are the items available under which hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and then they again call us the second time or third time, and then they place the order.
Ah, yeah.
So just to reduce the two calls, I've given everything in the Glide app where they will have an holistic view of all the hotels and all the hotel menu cards. And then it's easy for them to call after looking at the menu.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the one or two calls is, basically reduced and time is getting saved.
Amazing. That's actually how Zomato started. So Zomato
Yeah,
wasn't a food delivery startup. It was just to look at the menu, because the founders found out that when people are at the cafeteria, it takes so long for everybody to look at the menu, then place the order. The lines were super long, so they just put the
yeah,
entire cafeteria's menu together in a simple like HTML website, and it just took off from there. They realized, okay, there's a need for people to place an order online, and now it's become so much more than just like food delivery. Went on to
yeah,
events and so much more. But that's exactly how Zomato started. So I'm definitely looking at Easy Eats as a as a
yeah,
it could definitely be a strong competitor, and especially like these cities that are remote, that necessarily don't have like the best internet connection, and phone works so well, right? Having that like
yes,
person talk to you also, because
it
a
is.
lot of people aren't very technologically adept to navigate an app, so it actually would might work in your favor to be using that channel through phone.
Yes, and we have a lot of customers who are 60 plus, 70 plus as well. So they are very comfortable, in calling us and placing the order
Yeah.
and getting to know what are the items available. So it's easy for them to place the order because we have been serving a lot of COVID affected families as
Hmm.
well in the second wave. So it is, basically they tell us the item and they tell us the order. So they ask us, follow the same order on a daily basis. Just give us the food for the next 7 days or something. I
Brilliant.
mean, any day.
It could turn into like a food subscription. Now I see it competing with the likes of Eat Fit.
Yes, yes, kind of. So yeah, that's very easy for them to actually that way. But yeah, in the longer run, if you're totally relying on phone calls and placing the audits,
It's
going
not
to be a lot of
scalable,
work for you.
but I think
It's
that
not scalable.
if you target that specific niche, right, where you're looking at people who are older and people that can't necessarily get like really good bandwidth, then I mean you're
Yeah.
on to something here. So back
Yes.
to the question I asked you earlier. So is it your engineering background that you would credit, or working at a startup, working at Survey Sparrow? How do you get into that mindset? Okay, I want to start something of my own.
So basically, I would like to, give credits to both the startups that I had been a part of and then still have been a part of a startup. So, the startup culture is something that I always, love. So, you get to start things from scratch and you get to execute, experiment with a lot of different things and you see the results. So it's always, the startup, I would always suggest any fresher if they want to start their career, if they want to start their career fresh, I would ask them to start their career in a startup. So that's when, in big companies, in organized companies, the process is already set, the workflow is already created, and you're just going to take time to learn the workflow, adapt to the work ethic, the company's work ethic, and you're going to do that. So that's no biggie, no big deal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But whereas in a startup, they have quite a lot of things to experiment with. They have a lot of plans as well. So when you work for a startup like this, and you actually get to develop things from scratch, and yeah, so that's what I had done in my previous startup because I was the 31st employee when I joined Skilling, and right now the company's headcount is, I think it has crossed 200 or something. So the company is growing really well. And when I started, we were just operating the whole system in in actually a marriage hall, in a wedding hall.
Wow.
So, but now, yeah, but now the company is, they have a branch in Chennai, Bangalore. They have two offices in Chennai and they have one in Bangalore and Hyderabad. So they have a lot of students enrolling in courses. So it is basically, I've learned a lot of things in that startup. And when I started Easy Eats, it's basically, the time when I joined Service Para as well. But Service Para, it's totally a different learning. It's totally the SaaS phase where you get to learn more about the product and tech world. So yeah, it's basically I would like to give credits to both the startups that I'm being a part of.
And how did you make that journey from an engineer to a product marketer? What happened in between? Fill us in.
Yeah, so I actually did my engineering in biotechnology. So when I actually joined biotechnology, I was really interested, but then after the first year, I think I was totally losing the interest. I didn't take my career seriously. I didn't take my life seriously when I was in the second year, and I very well knew that biotechnology is something that is not going to be my cup of tea. So I was just, starting to look for opportunities in the event management field or in the marketing field. Because anyways, you're not going to pursue biotechnology anymore in
Mhm.
the master's or even in the bachelor's. So I didn't even used to attend labs and all. So that's how it all started. And, in the third year, so I started doing my internship for an event management company. So where we were just, trying to organize an event called ISCA, Indian Science and Congress Association. So it is basically for science background students. And then, that was in Hyderabad. So, and then, I slowly started to migrate my career, maybe switch my career from biotechnology and started learning more about startups and marketing. And yeah, again, marketing is something that I've decided after I passed out of the college. But when I was in the college, yeah, I just wanted to work for a startup. Not that I was desperate to work for a startup, but I was also giving my, shot for various big companies like Freshworks, Zoho, and all, but I didn't really make through. So after, passing out of college, so I was really, in need of a job, and I applied for startups and I got into skilling, and that's how my journey started. And when I started skilling, I was just, asked to take care of all the social media handles of skilling.
What was the
So it's
interview
all,
process like? Knowing that you didn't have necessarily like a background in marketing, and um, I'm not sure what your experience with social media was at that point, but most companies, when they hire freshers, they have this amazing, job description where they're like looking for freshers with like 5 years of experience. And that's actually, I mean,
yeah.
not necessarily in India, but the recession that happened in US is responsible for
Yes.
most of this, because so many people lost their jobs and they had like years and years of experience. They started looking for entry level jobs, and now because of that whole thing, now people expect people, as in these employees, to have like a world of experience when they're just starting out. So what was
Yes.
your experience like, the interview process, the hiring, how did that go?
So I had zero experience in marketing when I was applying for a role at Skilling. So I didn't have any experience, and it was basically I had a round with my co-founder. So the company was very small, and they just want someone to take care of, to take care of social media handles and to take care of a lot of stuff, which is coming. And they actually noticed. I mean, if you are ready to learn, if you have the hunger to learn, then you are in. So
Brilliant.
I mean,
Yeah.
everything you can learn on the go, but you just need to have that hunger to learn. And when you have that, I think you're mostly in, and that is something that he was looking for. So he was just noticing the passion and the hunger for me to learn things, and that's how I got in. So I didn't have any experience. Everything is basically, I just whenever I'm doing a social media post, I look at 10 to 15 competitors' social media pages, how they are doing and what they are doing, and that's how I used to follow a very similar template, or I used to follow a very similar methodology. And yeah, that's how it all started. I had one of my bosses. He's my manager. He was my manager, and he just taught me a certain thing. Hey, you have to do this. I mean, try taking inspiration from this company, and try doing that. Let's see if that is working. That's
Good.
how we all
Yeah.
experimented. Yeah.
Good mentors and that sort of playground to experiment is so important, because like you said, so many of these big companies, right, they have these set systems and processes, because in the beginning I'm sure they experimented and they found out what works, and now they stick to it, right? You don't fix what's not broken. And with a startup, when you have like a really good mentor, and you did, and they give you that sort of freedom, right? Okay, go experiment, figure out
Yeah.
if this works. And that's so thrilling, because you're doing and you're building something of your own. You're not taking something that is there and running with it. Your name is attached to it, so it becomes like your babies. There's so much a sense of
Exactly.
pride attached to what you've done. So how did that go?
Yes.
Researching competitors, coming up with a social media strategy. Did you start enjoying social media after that?
Yeah, definitely. When you see the growth happening, when you see the graph going up, it definitely it definitely pushes me to do more. And every time, so I was not a very big marketer when I kickstarted, so it was all on the go learning. And as you post something, and when your post goes viral, but I didn't have any posts going so many posts going viral, but yeah, even if you get like 10 to 15 likes for your post, and if someone finds your post valuable, or if they have learned something from your post, I mean, your job is done.
It's
So
super
that was the thing.
important.
So I just wanted to, yeah.
I think people get caught up with the number of likes and the number of followers that they have. And the question is always, how do I grow my following? How do I grow my business? But the question that you should be asking is, how am I adding value to the target audience, right? Why would they want to follow you if you are in sort
Yeah.
of a red ocean? There's so many other competitors out there, right? How do you set yourself apart? And the one thing obviously which comes to mind for B2B is being active on LinkedIn, and not just
Yes.
having a company page, because people don't necessarily want to hear about a company. They want to hear from people. And I know you've got some tips for us to crack that LinkedIn, so I definitely want to get into that now.
Sure, sure. I'll be again now sharing my screen now. Yes. Yes. So
Ah,
it
love
was it
Canva.
again a very
Canva
basic
is
thing.
like the bane of my existence. I'm telling you, people think that I
Yes,
am so good at design because I use Canva templates. I suck at design.
you have so many Canva templates, and you really have a lot of interesting Canva templates to make use of. So I just used one such template. So I just wanted to I jotted down based on my experience. I'm sure this will work. Not a proper formula or something, but these are the opportunities that you can definitely get
Yeah,
when you
like
follow
the
this
basic
method.
building blocks, because a lot of people struggle with just consistency. They don't know what to post, when to post. Um, should they
Yes.
even say something because they don't feel like they have anything valuable to add because the imposter syndrome kicks in. Cool. So take us through this.
Yeah, so basically, the first thing that I've mentioned here is, you should have a human connect with your network.
Absolutely.
So it shouldn't be just highs and hellos that you send to your
Oh
friends.
God.
So you should have a human connect.
Yeah.
So I've personally come across a lot of people, just sending highs and
Yeah.
hellos
Yeah.
and looking for opportunities.
Random people
So
that I don't know if you've had this happen to you, but like random people would connect and you want to just, widen your network and you're not necessarily like being too picky about who is in your network, right? It's LinkedIn. You're not trying to I mean it's networking at the end of the day. And then the first message that they
yeah,
send is trying to sell you something. It's so like it's
yes,
such a turn
that is
off.
boring.
And it's so important, like people just writing hi, hello, and they don't have even like a profile picture, so you don't really know who you're talking to. Is it a bot? What do they need? And it's
Yeah.
so basic, so this is super important.
Yeah, and just to add something to it, I've just added a tip. So basically, if you are reaching out to a particular person, just try to know them. Maybe take a look at their post activities and updates, what they are up to, what they are very interested in seeking, and that will give you a more clarity and confidence while you're reaching out
Yeah,
to that person. So instead of just sending highs and hellos, you can just start your conversation like this: hey, I've seen your post, I've read your article, I found it really interesting, and yeah, well, I mean, also I'm on the lookout for this role in your company, and why don't you take a look at my LinkedIn profile and see if I would be a good fit. So this is how your conversation should
absolutely.
get
And
started with any
I
new
I would
person.
just
Yeah.
end with this one line that I picked up from this masterclass on negotiation with Chris Voss. When you're talking to people, right? And always, I mean, time is money. So when they take time to read your message, end it with saying that I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you taking the time to do this, right? And that
Yeah.
will generally get you a response. Even if it's not positive, it will get you a response because you're being very considerate of their time.
Definitely.
You shouldn't assume that everybody that you reach out to is going to help you, not because they don't want to, but because they have so many other priorities. And also
Yeah.
don't be like too self-serving, like I've done this, I've done that. Like you said, you start with something that you like about that and show genuine interest. A lot of people again make that mistake saying that, oh, I read this and it was so interesting and I loved it, and you can tell it's fake, right? It's like a template that you're using. So you have to be
Definitely.
very
Yes.
very picky with the kind of people that you reach out to so that you can personalize the content. You genuinely should want to connect with that
Yes.
person. Cool. What's the second
Yeah,
tip?
and that goes to my second point as well. So basically, I just, the second point is drop a personal note
Yes,
while
so
sending an invite. So
important.
this is
Yeah,
the most underrated feature that
yeah.
we have not been actively using this feature on LinkedIn. So you have an option to drop a personal note while you're sending an invite to a new person. So please make use of that feature. So the tip I actually told, have a template ready by default, because every time it you need a lot of time to write about about your expertise. But again, the second point is personalize it accordingly every time you're sending a new
Mm-hmm.
invite. So that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
important. It
absolutely.
is not just that you copy paste your content template and you're writing it to your future employers or whoever it is. So you should personalize it accordingly. Add something in the beginning. Just maybe take a look at their LinkedIn profile and see what they are good at, what they are actually what are the kind of posts that they are engaging with. So that will give you a good clarity. And then, but make sure you use this personal note thing. So
Definitely.
that is something that we are not actually making use of.
100% agree. And I do that. I send a personal note anytime I want to connect. And the thing is that there are only 300 characters to play with. So, what you definitely
Yeah.
need to do is also write whatever you think you should say about yourself and why you want to connect. But at the same time, use basic rules of copywriting to make your sentences like really easy to read. And I would also recommend
Yes.
doing it on your desktop, not on your phone, because on the phone you lose that
Yes.
formatting. It doesn't happen. I've tried it. I don't know if it's just my phone, but desktop much better. Like you can
Yeah.
format it, and there's like white spaces, so important for legibility. Amazing.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, so that actually is my second point, and my third point is something. I mean, spend time knowing your future recruiter or manager, and most importantly about the company. Because every time you're looking for a new opportunity for a new company, so it's always better to know about the recruiter and manager and the company. First, the company, because you should know what product or what service is the company using and what are they trying to solve. Are they trying to solve any problem? And if so, get to know the problem, get to know their competitors, and how your recruiter, recruiting manager or hiring manager, how they are contributing to the growth of the company. So these are some basic things that you should know
Mhm.
before sending a request.
Engage
So
with
that is
their,
my tip as
yeah,
well.
and also
Yeah,
engage with their content, like follow those company pages, follow the people that might eventually become like part of the team that you work with. And also this
definitely.
gives you insights into what you should ask in an interview, because so many people don't ask questions when you say, do you have any questions for me? And they're like, no,
Yeah,
I don't have any questions. And that to me is such a huge red flag, because if I'm hiring
yeah,
somebody for marketing and they don't have any questions, I'm super concerned, because then I don't know if they're curious, because you need that, you need that curiosity, you need that sort of person asking questions to figure out what are we doing, how can they make it better, because it is an exchange, right? You exchange your
yeah,
time for money, and this company is hiring you because you are going to add value, right? Nobody is going to pay you
yeah,
to teach you. They will, of course, mentorship exists,
yes.
but you have to bring something to the table. So this is super important.
Got it. So yeah, and the fourth point is definitely update your LinkedIn profile regularly. Learn the basics of LinkedIn keywords and how the algorithm works, and optimize your profile regularly. So this is, a lot of people are not aware of, updating their profile regularly. So try updating it. It is very important, right? To get, if you want to get yourself or your profile noticed, if you want to get yourself noticed in the first list of 10 or 15 people, it's important to update your profile accordingly. So that is going to, rank your profile higher
Hmm.
when you compare it with your peers. So that is
Absolutely.
important. So a lot of
Yeah.
people are not updating their profile regularly, is what I see. So whatever new things that you learn or new things that you do,
Yeah.
so make sure you add it in your profile. That will give you a lot of opportunity.
Definitely. A lot of people don't have a banner image. You should definitely add something that relates to your industry. You don't have like a good profile picture. And I was told this because I apparently don't smile enough. So I have to
Yeah,
update my profile photo. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to be updating, I'm going to smize on LinkedIn now. And
yeah,
also your bio, right? The about section, people are not making use
about
of
it.
that. Your headline, so if you are, let's say, looking for roles in product marketing, then you should have that on your bio, right? That's what people see when they first land on your profile. Or even if they're searching for, let's say, you get these insights from LinkedIn every week, where it says that you
Yes,
appeared in these many searches, these were the keywords,
yeah,
and you take that, right? You take what you want to like work in the industry, and you should have those either in your skills, or you should have that in your bio and your about section, so that people know exactly who you are. Super
yes.
important, yeah. I also see
So
there's a
that
there's
goes.
a sorry, there's a link here.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So basically, I have this article which basically explains everything about how to properly optimize your LinkedIn profile. So I'll definitely share the link with you, Sneha, so
Yeah,
you can
we'll
just
we'll put
proceed with
that
that
on the
conversation.
newsletter and anybody can go through this. Keywords,
Yes,
again, I think with also with your resumes, because most companies use ATS, you want to take
yes,
so if you are looking for a job and you find that on LinkedIn, they usually have these skills listed there. So what is relevant to you, you should be adding that to your resume. Don't take the same resume that you've created and send it off and blast it out in the universe and think that
yes.
it's going to work.
It will not work.
You so if you have, let's say, premium, I think there's a free trial also, so if you've never taken the premium, you make use of that. It tells you
Yes,
what skills you are matched against, so you made like 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, and that gives you, okay, this is probably like a job for me, or this is what they're looking for. And you should
yes.
update your resume with those so that the ATS can scan it through.
Definitely. Thanks for adding this as well, because this is super important. And right now, the companies are totally using ATS to screen your
Yeah.
resumes, and that's super
But
good news as well.
do you think that writing cover letters is is important, or I mean, if it's optional, should somebody write a cover letter when they're trying to find the right job?
Maybe when the platform that you're using to reach out to your future employees or recruiting managers is LinkedIn, you don't necessarily need a cover letter on LinkedIn. You just need to do all these things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But in case if you're reaching out to them, if you're writing an email to your future employer, or maybe a cover letter, a nice looking cover letter will definitely get you noticed. So is what I feel.
Yeah, I think the about section is like a proxy for your cover letter. So if
Yes,
you are applying on LinkedIn, then make sure your about tells exactly what, again, I recommend doing on the desktop, because you can format it, you can add emojis and do all kinds of stuff on the desktop.
yes,
Cool.
yes, exactly,
I'm
exactly.
so excited. The last,
So, and the last point, basically engage, post, and jot down your perspectives as articles. So don't just write, drive value. So, it's not just, having LinkedIn profile and sending connection requests and just liking others post.
Mhm.
It is basically, you at times you should definitely engage with your connection. I mean, your networks, what they're up to and other stuff. And you should definitely post something that drives value to your readers or consumers. And there's something called LinkedIn articles where you can just, write down your perspectives or write down anything, any random thing. You have the full privilege to experiment with LinkedIn articles, and just why don't you make use of LinkedIn articles?
Absolutely. It's a
So yeah,
underrated feature. Again, a lot of people aren't using it. And also with
yeah,
engagement, if you are going to post at, let's say, 10 a.m., 9:30, you should start going into LinkedIn and start commenting on relevant posts. Because what happens is
yes,
by the time you post, those people that you've commented on, they know, and their network gets notified, so you get more engagement on your post. And the algorithm also takes into account how much engagement you get in the first hour. So if people you
definitely,
mention or people you've tagged, they aren't really engaging with it, then it just dies down. Like, it doesn't show
yeah,
it to the larger segment, right? It's testing it out with like a very small group, seeing if there's enough
yes,
engagement and then blasting it out. So definitely very important to add value in it where you are also engaging with other people's content. You don't come on LinkedIn and just say that, listen to me, I have so much to say. I'm sure people do.
yes,
Everybody has their own niche and their expertise. But it's also about sort of having this community rally around you, right? You need to use that
yes,
to build meaningful connections, I would say. It's not like people think
exactly,
networking is such like a bad thing to do, where, oh, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. But that's not what it is. It's about you finding like-minded people and then growing together. Or maybe somebody can then
exactly,
turn into like a mentor to you, and they help you grow. And we
exactly.
all, like, we when we grow together, we win together. It's not I'm stealing this from Utkarsh at Network Capital, but competition is for losers. right? You don't need to be in
Yes,
competition with
yes.
anybody.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of people, usually do like I have 5,000 connections, I have 10,000 connections, 20K connections. So I mean, yeah, though it sounds really great or huge, it's definitely what matters is what value you're driving to all your
True,
connections, to all
absolutely.
your 5K, 20, 10K, 20K
I
connections.
also
Yeah.
want to just put this out there that, sometimes you might feel like nobody's reading what you're writing and you don't get as many likes. And I've noticed it, and also the LinkedIn consultant that I spoke to, Joe, he said the same thing.
Okay.
Sometimes what happens is you may not get as many likes. You might get like one, two, nobody's liking your post, but that doesn't mean that nobody's seeing them. And a lot of times people
Yes.
have come to him and said that, oh, I love your LinkedIn content, but they've never engaged with it, right? So even if you feel like you're just like screaming into a void and nobody's really reading it, people are taking notice of it. So that just becomes like a cold lead until they're ready to
Absolutely.
engage with you or talk to you,
Yes.
or maybe seek you out to hire you or work with you as a freelancer. So you should post what you want to post, add value, and
Yes.
don't worry so much about, oh, I'm not getting as much likes, I'm not getting as much engagement, I don't have any followers or connections. That's like, all of those are like vanity metrics. You don't have to worry about that.
You don't have to worry about. Yes. And just to end, I've added my article as well, which I'm going to share it with you. So the article which you read.
Yeah, this
So
is,
I've actually jotted
yeah.
down.
I just want to give this backstory here, right? So I found you on LinkedIn and I saw this article and I was like, wait, this is so interesting. I went through the article and I was like, oh my God, I have to get you on the podcast. And then I saw that you started, you have a very similar journey. This is what I'm trying to showcase on the podcast. So you started off as an engineer and now you're a product marketer, and we have that Service
Yes.
Sparrow connection. Shweta was working at
Yes.
Service Sparrow before. She's working with Mobstack now. So I feel like it's almost like serendipity. You feel like, oh, who's gonna come on my podcast? Because it's like so new. But the thing
Great.
is that people like you exist, like people who want to help other people, want to offer their mentorship, work in personal development. And you shouldn't limit yourself to thinking that, oh, I don't think I can get this person to come on the podcast, right? You don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know if I
Yes.
hadn't tried. It would be like, oh, this person's too busy, so I'm not gonna like even bother.
Yes.
So
Yes. So yeah.
I think there's this uh, flow chart that you have in this article. Can we take a look at that?
Definitely. And just to end, the last slide is going to be something that you just said. You they have to make use of this weekly stats, which you can not necessarily weekly thing. You can take a look at it daily
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well. So I mean, the keywords your users basically use, your searches basically use to find you.
yeah.
So just to I mean, how do you find that? Is basically go to your profile and you will find something called search appearance. And when you click on search appearance, then just scroll to the bottom. Then you will find keywords your search is used.
Super important.
So this is just a screenshot of what my searches use to find me. So I'm just the keywords my searches use to find me are product marketer, marketer or
Totally
consultant.
relevant. And
So the same, yeah.
can you also see where your searchers work? I know it's a feature on premium. I don't know if it's still on the free version or not.
Oh, I think it's still in the basic.
Uh,
I think you
so
can
you can
definitely see
also take a
that. So
look at that.
above this,
Yeah, you can also see where,
yeah,
who has looked at your profile, where do they work, some interesting views that have come from, certain
yeah.
people that are working at some companies. So if you see that a certain company, somebody working at a certain company has looked at your profile, go engage with that, go follow their company page, engage with their LinkedIn posts. And because company pages don't get a lot of engagement, you will stand out, right? A
Mhm.
meaningful comment there will definitely help.
Definitely. Definitely. So I think the interesting views and all comes in the premier plan. So you don't have that in the basic. So you have to unlock it. But the companies where most of your searches are in currently, so that you can find it out just above this section, the keyword your searches use section.
Brilliant. Yeah.
You can definitely find it out. Or do I have to share my LinkedIn profile
I
and
mean, that would be
show
great.
them
Like, if
that?
you could just walk us through your LinkedIn and just show
Yes,
us, we could also take a look at the other optimizations that you've done.
uh, definitely. So maybe when you go to your profile, so you have something called search appearances. And when you click on search appearance, here you will have all the companies where your searches are working currently. So I have most of my searches work for Freshworks, Clutch.co, Wipro, Storyteller, Stripe. And when you
And
just
what do they
scroll down,
do?
then
Yeah,
you can also
again, very
see,
important. Like,
yeah,
what might they be looking at you for? Are they probably looking to hire you, or do they want to maybe collaborate with you? Are they looking to sell something to you? Again, gives you so many
exactly.
insights here.
So, and when I just scroll down, then I will
Keywords
have the
your
screenshot which
searches used.
I
Yeah,
just write the
brilliant.
keywords yourself. So yeah, this is all about it. But when you want to know who are the searches and where are they coming from, the searches name and all, so that comes in the premium plan. Right now, in the basic, you'll not be able to see that. So I have the basic plan now.
No worries. I mean, this is I
Yes.
think again people make that mistake of thinking that you need to pay for a premium to make the best out of LinkedIn, but that's not really true. I just got the premium because I wanted to invest a little bit more into networking with people that
Yeah.
aren't necessarily in my circle, and that helps. The LinkedIn learning is something that I'm interested in, so that's what I'm doing with the premium.
That is
Um,
super important for
yeah,
you.
super. And because I feel like if I'm not learning, I am dying. Like my brain feels like it's rusting
Yeah.
away. And I guess
Yes.
it's overkill for some people because you don't want to be on overdrive all the time. But that's what I find exhilarating. I mean, to be learning something new. And this is so helpful, right? I'm super excited to get into
Yes.
that flowchart now, if we can.
Yeah. So I have to go to my Medium account. One second. I already have it.
I think while you do that, I
Yes.
also want to just put this out there. Medium, again, super important to put your content out
Yes.
there. If you don't have a website of your own, use Medium, because this is how
Medium.
uh, a client found me. Because I put out content on Medium, which was about location-based marketing and technology, and they needed somebody with that expertise, like that specific expertise. And they found me on LinkedIn, and we just got started from there. So again, didn't know that they were
Yes.
reading it. They didn't leave a comment there. I didn't know that it was that company looking at my profile. So very, very important. Cool, take us through this. Oh, I love
Yes.
this. I know this is on Canva because I use this template.
Yes,
Love,
this
love,
is
love.
on Canva
Yes,
again. So I just, I was doing something for Service Sparrow and I thought, okay, why don't I use the same template and just play with the text alone?
love this. Can
So
we
I
can
just
we
changed the
zoom
content.
in and focus on this?
Yes.
Lovely. Okay.
Can you see
Yes,
it
I can. I
clearly?
can. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I would like to, tell something about this article in specific because how I got started with this article is basically I got a Reddit question from a Reddit user who just asked how do you market yourself better to your future employees and how to increase your employability rate is the question which I got it. And I just answered him, and he found my comment very helpful, and he dropped a very interesting reply. I loved the reply, and which got me thinking, why shouldn't I write an article on the same and help a lot of people benefit from this article? Is what I thought, and I immediately, since I already know what I've written in Reddit, so I know all the points, all the content. So I just maximized
Brilliant use of
the
content
content size.
repurposing. That's brilliant. I think so many people
Yes,
fail to do that. They put out content on one platform and they think that this is it. They don't necessarily think to take that
yes,
and turn it into a blog post, turn it into a video, turn it into a podcast. It's brilliant. Take
yes.
us through this. Step one.
Yeah, basically, so it is, I mean, pretty much what I've explained in the LinkedIn presentation, which I've done. So, I mean, steps to market yourself better to your future employees. So, it's the first step is identifying the role that really excites you or interests you. Because when you're applying for any companies, the first thing that you should check is the role which you're going to apply for.
Do you
So
think
that is
the
important. The second thing is,
do you think the role matters or does the company matter more? Because I think that's again another
uh,
debate that people have, right? Do you look for a good company or do you look for a good role?
if you ask me, I would definitely go for looking for a good role, because the role is where you will definitely, that is something that you're chasing your passion and you're taking your career towards it. I mean, the companies, yeah, a lot of companies are doing really well, and even if they're not doing well, the strategies that they have is something that will definitely work for them in the longer run. And why don't you join the company and make the processes and system
Ah,
better,
so you're like
and
50-50. Like you
work on
would
the
probably
company
like, so
50/50.
you would take a bet on the
Yeah.
company, like they would take a bet on you.
I would say maybe 70/30, 70% the
Role
role
30
which you're
is,
going to apply for, and 30% the
I
company,
think,
because the role
yeah,
is
for
important.
me, it's the company because at this point, I think that I know where my areas of expertise lie, and I want to continue growing. So if it's at a good company, and I might not start with like a designation that I feel very excited about, but if it allows me to grow and expand my mind, then I think I'm all for it because and also I shouldn't really say a company, right? It's the people within that company that make it what it is. You want to work for a good manager. You don't necessarily work for a building. You don't necessarily work for a company. You work with that one person and a team to get the best out of you. So that I would look for that. I would look for a good company and a good team, a good work culture. Again, that's like a buzzword right now, like good company,
Yes,
the
yes,
work life balance, which is like so erratic right now since the pandemic. How has it been for
yes.
you? I know we're going off topic, but we'll get back to step two.
So
What has work life has been like
yes,
for you?
but it's definitely hectic because we are Service Sparrow as a company is growing really well. We are just trying to acquire all the markets, and so there's a lot of work going in the company and a lot of cross-functional collaboration and calls. So every day it's basically very hectic. But yeah, one best thing about Service Sparrow is they allow the companies to balance their both work life and personal life. This is something that I love about the company. So yeah, you have weekends, Saturday, Sunday, where you can spend time for yourself, or
Decompress.
maybe try to do something which yeah, decompress, as you said.
Amazing.
So yeah, the company is very helpful in that case, I
Love
would say.
that. Cool. So step two, connecting with future employees.
Step two is connecting with future employees who are already in the industry. I mean, the future employees necessarily not need to be the one who work for your future organization. You can connect with employees who, I mean, whose role is exciting you and who you want to learn from. So you can connect with them. And the third thing will definitely be, show them what you're capable of. Maybe with your work project, side hustle, or whatever you have
Hmm.
done
Yeah,
to optimize your profile. I mean, all these things can be shown. I mean, not just that you're sending them links and you're bombarding them with links in the inbox. It's not that. I mean, basically taking time and letting them know that you would be a good fit. So that will definitely work. And the fourth thing is adding value with a project that showcase your skill sets. So there are a lot of projects that you can do as your side hustle. And I mentioned everything in this article. I'm definitely going to share the
absolutely. Yeah.
article as well. So you can take. I mean, I'm not sure because I've not really experienced all these domains, but I have some friends in all these fields. So definitely I've seen them grow and I've seen them working on multiple things, and I've just jotted this article based on how what my interaction was with that particular friend or employee. So you can definitely check it out and have this as a reference, and you can work. And maybe if you have any brilliant idea, so you can definitely feel free to experiment that as well. So the fifth thing is, we all do stuff, we all start things, but we don't be
Yeah.
consistent. Again, that goes to me also. I should definitely work on my consistency. So because I've written this article, and after this article, I should definitely get started with my next one. But I was busy with other stuff.
I can give you a tip.
So
I can
yeah,
give
I
you a
was.
tip here, right? So I did this writing fellowship, and I think again the problem that usually happens is like you get one great idea and you execute it,
Yeah.
and you don't know where your next idea is going to come from, or you don't have time to then work on it. And again, borrowing from Utkarsh, this is something called a writing operating system. So you create something on
Okay.
something very simple on Google Docs or Notion, where you put in
Mhm.
everything that interests you. So you have like these multiple categories. So for me, it's productivity,
Yes.
SaaS, content marketing, careers, personal development, and under each category, I put in like articles, LinkedIn posts, videos, Instagram posts, anything that I come across
Yeah.
that becomes part of my consumption
Hmm.
diet. So everything that I'm consuming, I put it there. And then at the end of the day, you spend 10 minutes just absorbing all of that and just building notes. So when it comes time to write like a long form article, you have all your research ready. It also helps with like when you're having like conversations with people, or you just want to be like interesting, and sound knowledgeable, or even like in a job interview, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that people get so nervous about, especially in the round with the HR, the recruiter. That's where you have to appear personable. That's where you have to, show
Yeah.
that you're a well-rounded
Feel confident.
individual. It's not just one thing that
Yes.
you're good at, but multiple things that you can collaborate, or you have demonstrated that you can learn really well, and all of that. So it's very very helpful. So just I have that on my Google Docs. Maybe that might help you. And also having like a calendar,
That's
just have like a calendar
yeah.
reminder that you have to publish this today. And again, I'm quoting
Definitely.
this fellow from the writing fellowship, Pratik Jain. He works at Twilio
Hmm.
as a product manager,
Oh,
and he basically has this one simple motto: just hit the damn publish button. Just hit the publish button, and you can always go back and edit
yeah.
stuff. You can always go back and refine it. So don't think too much about like, oh, is it good enough? Should I put it out there? So just maybe those two things might help.
Yes. Definitely. I think that's a very helpful tip for me also. Thank you, Sneh, for mentioning that. That will definitely help me out. And yeah, the going to my sixth point, basically building a strong a personal brand by sharing it with your network. So it's basically two different things: sharing it with your network and building a strong personal brand. For building a strong personal brand, you can definitely do some of the things which I mentioned in my PPT, and sharing it with your network at the right time definitely will help you get noticed. So the last thing will definitely be master the heart of networking to increase your opportunities, because networking is definitely again an underrated stuff that most of the people are not doing uh, to the max. So you can definitely network, just like how we
Yeah,
got connected. It's basically a networking. The same way you can reach out to people and send them an invite and talk about random stuff, not necessarily seeking for opportunities, but you can also discuss other stuff and learn from each other. So you can do all these things to increase your networking. I mean, back maybe 2 years down the lane, when that person is thinking about something that you've told, so I mean, you will definitely come and drop a message to you
yeah,
there, hey, thank you for mentioning that, and it is definitely helpful for my career right
absolutely.
now. Yeah.
So is all of
Yeah.
your networking happening on LinkedIn right now?
So it's basically on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the platform which I'm actually been on most of the time. And yeah, so not I use Reddit at times. Reddit is
Very
another
underrated, I
platform where
think,
I
especially for
basically
marketers, very underrated. You get
yeah.
such interesting use
Yes.
cases out of Reddit, right? If you just do like basic research, so
Yes.
many people get caught up with these high-end tools, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like those tools work really well for keyword research.
Yes.
But when
Really
it
work.
comes to what does the audience really want, Reddit, even LinkedIn. You just put in the search terms on LinkedIn and you'll find,
LinkedIn.
so you filter it for content and you'll find like so many interesting use cases. That's what I do for most
Yes.
of the articles that I have to write, because there isn't something that already
That's nice.
exists that is out there. I'm creating something from scratch. So
Mm-hmm.
competitor research only works to like a certain
Okay.
extent, right? So I had to write something about demand generation. And while we have like certain
Oh,
aspects happening at Mobstack, we don't necessarily have like a complete framework. So it was completely new to me when it comes to like writing, ideas for other SaaS companies. And I just put that keyword in, demand generation, looked for that hashtag, and so much came out of it, right? People had put in like free templates. This is how you can figure out your demand generation model. These are the steps that you should follow. This is what you should do. Here's another idea. And I put that all into this article, and I thanked everybody that contributed to it
that's
indirectly. So
great.
you don't always need to have people say that, hey, do you want to add this resource? Because that usually happens, right? People reach out and they want to like, can you do this? Indirectly, add their contributions, and that could be another way for you to network with them.
Definitely, definitely. I think yeah, totally. And on LinkedIn, a lot of people are starting their Slack groups
Yeah,
where or they are keeping all the conversation going on Slack groups and Discord, lot of other platforms, Slack. So I'm myself been a part of some of the Slack groups as well, and on Discord where they discuss all things sales, all things marketing, all things product management. So this, I mean, I've found all these connections on LinkedIn. So you can definitely make use of LinkedIn and get on the Slack group. When you see any Slack link, just make, I mean, even if you're not being an active member of Slack, just go try making use of the platform, try making use of the group so that they are discussing a lot of good things which is totally new and you can learn one or two from them.
absolutely. Yeah, Slack works super well. There are these free communities that you can be a part of. There's one for product-led growth.
Yes.
There's one for, I think, sales and marketing operations called Rev Genius, and so many more, right? There's
Yeah, that's genius.
um,
And there's product hunt for product managers,
Yeah,
product
yeah. And
ideas.
also, Product Hunt as on its own, right? The website, it brought me so many new
Yeah.
tools, right? I wouldn't have known about them otherwise. In so many interesting jobs that even came out of it. So there's one that is just a very simple interface where they send out emails with
Yes.
content writing jobs, which are mostly remote. And that's
Yes.
how I found this one company as an agency in Canada, and it pays really well. So, I mean, why not, right? Like, why not make use of everything that's available? And so much of it is just free. I also want to just plug in like
Yes.
Network
Yes.
Capital here, not because I'm a member, but it's been so helpful as a community. So it's basically Netflix for careers. You have masterclasses, you have
Okay.
fellowships, you have one-on-one mentoring happening. Uh, I think I don't know when this would go out, but you have like the the creme de la creme of like people in various industries like talking to you. It's also happening on Clubhouse now, so you can join that. Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Clubhouse.
so amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I was I was so not on board with the whole idea of Clubhouse, and now I'm like, what
Mm-hmm.
was I even thinking, right? I attended the session yesterday again with Network Capital, and we were talking about the passion economy and freelancers and creators. Insane the amount of insights that you can get from people
Yes.
in the industry, and it also becomes like a support system, an accountability group, if you will.
Yes.
And that again pushes you to be consistent, building your personal brand or hitting that publish
Okay.
button. So definitely check out Network Capital.
Mhm. Thank you for this again. Yeah. This will be again. So yeah, that's about it. That's about all about this article, and I would highly recommend you to go through this article and maybe share your insights. Maybe if you want to add, or want me to add some more thing into the article, I'm totally up for it. Yeah,
Absolutely. I
we can
think
go
in
through that.
itself, this article is super well researched, and you did talk to people in other industries, which again most people don't do. They just want to put their own viewpoint out there, and this is like
Yes.
a really well-rounded article, so I definitely recommend everybody check it out and read it and leave comments. You can also reach out to Kaushik on LinkedIn. And
Yes.
um, you're open to mentoring, right? You mentioned that you love, getting in touch with people, helping them. So,
Yes.
is that again like a passion which goes back to wanting to help people, or are you probably thinking about opening this up or monetizing this at some point?
Not necessarily, because I've not even thought about monetizing the mentoring part, and I have been doing that for a lot of my friends as well. So, not necessarily monetizing, but you can always feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Definitely, if I know something or if I know what you're asking, I'll definitely be happy to help you with that. Or else, if that is something that is not my expertise or something, I'm definitely going to, uh, help you connect with the right people. That I can do that for sure. Yeah.
So, Kaushik, what is your 3-month plan? Where do you want to be in 3 months with your side hustle and with all things product marketing? What does that look like?
Yes. So right now, at Service Para, if you ask me, so we are actually kickstarting a new initiative called customer marketing. So which is totally new that I mean, it's not something that I've done before. So I'm just going to,
Virtual high five.
basically,
We're going to launch that to customer marketing. Again, it
yes,
happens like in bits and pieces, and you really need to have a customer centric strategy and then listen to the customers.
yes,
So yeah, we're gonna stay in touch.
yes.
And in terms of your side hustle, you said that you want to build out the dashboard and maybe switch to like a web app.
Yes, so web app thing is definitely already there, but there's a lot of scope to optimize the web app. But I'm just also in touch with one application developer. So he's from BIT. He's still in the college. So I'm just in talks with him to
Love that.
build an app very minimal with minimal functionalities. I'm planning to do that
Fuel
within
that gig
2 to 3 months.
economy. I love that. Yeah.
Yes, and with respect to dashboard, yes, as you just saw it, and there's a lot of things to do in the dashboard, because right now we have been making not so big money, but we have been making something, but we don't have a process to track how much we are making on a daily basis and how much goes in the expense, how much we are making use of forward. All these has to be tracked, and there should be a process for it, because right now I'm home and I'm able to see everything. But
Yeah.
when I move back to some other city, and when I continue my work from office thing, it's going to be difficult for me to track all these things. So before I go, before everything ends, I should create all these processes and make it easier for me to track things from wherever I am.
Super nice. I mean, that's really interesting. So I mean, we already said that people can reach out to you on LinkedIn. Is there a specific like niche that you would like to help people with? Is it getting over that fear of switching careers, or helping them with their LinkedIn so that we can, put that out there and people can reach and be very specific, because I think that's something that I've spoken about maybe 3 times already. But when you ask for help, you should be very specific what you need help with. Because saying I need help, can you help me, is is a good starting point, but it's not going to get you what you need. So what are those areas of expertise that people can reach out to you for?
That's actually a very good question. So, I mean, I wouldn't have, definitely I would have told you can ask me about anything, but now that you were told that it should be specific, so you can definitely, reach out to me if you want to know how to approach people on LinkedIn, how to get a response. So, because a lot of people, text 10 people, and if you don't get a response, then they just give up.
Yeah, and
But I can
wonder
definitely
why.
help you with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I can definitely help you with that. Maybe maintain that consistency. I can just share my tips, because when I was looking for a job, I didn't succeed at all, but I didn't give up. So I just kept reaching out to people, and that's how I found this opportunity, the first opportunity which I got. So I can definitely help you with that. And the fear, as you said, because I've just I helped two of my college friends, And one good thing is yesterday, one of my friends just reached out to me that she got placed in a company in the US.
That's
So I still
amazing.
remember her journey, and that is something that I would like to share in this podcast as well. We both are really good friends. I mean, we were in the final year, and she was starting her preparations for GRE. First attempt, she got 290 or something, which is not a great score, and she didn't get any good universities in the US. And second attempt again, 296, just again not a very good score if you want to be in the top university. And she didn't give up, but she had a lot of doubts, self doubts, thinking that she wouldn't be really good enough to crack that. And she didn't give up. I really appreciate her. I was with her the whole process. And again, she took like 2 months time. She prepared. She worked her ass off. And the third attempt, she got three not eight something, and that was good enough to get a university. And she got into university at Buffalo, which is
That's
in the New York.
amazing. Such a great
Yes.
example of how consistency pays off, how you should be okay with failure. Again, I was talking to a friend earlier today. I'm forcing him to come on the podcast and talk about his experiences. He is a
Yeah.
mechanical engineer and now works at KPMG, which again, I think that that's such an interesting journey in itself. And we just talked about that. We aren't okay with failing because that's just not ingrained in us, that it's okay to fail and that failure can like teach you so much. So I mean, hats off to your
Yes.
friend.
Yes. So I mean, a very similar story, the same thing, where another, I mean, one of my friends actually, she cracked as a travel consultant in a startup. She was a sales consultant there, but her dad was not totally okay with that. Her dad wanted her to work for big companies in
Yeah,
a very, privileged role.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So, and she was very demotivated, no support from her parents, no support from her family members. And she actually started doing things on her own. And then she was on a break for 4 months and now she actually cracked her admit in a school of institute, I mean, school of institute leadership something. So, yeah. So, which is really great. And she's doing a master's in HR now.
And
So,
now her
a
parents are
slight
on
transition.
board.
Yeah, so I mean, it took a lot of time for her to make them understand
It
about the
does.
corporate world
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah, yeah.
because they might not, have that knowledge. So actually, it was a very big process.
Yeah, I say this a lot, and I even tell my parents the same thing. Like, parents want what's best for you, but they don't necessarily know what's best for you because they aren't
Yes,
exposed to the kind of things that we've been exposed to. So they don't want to see you suffer. They don't necessarily want to see you
yes,
fail at something, which is why they always, put that sort of pressure on you to play it safe and play by the rules and get a
yes,
good role in a good company, and not really realizing that that's not everybody's path.
yes,
That
exactly.
Robert Frost poem comes to mind, right? There are two roads and one is like less traveled. So maybe sometimes it's okay to take that risk. And not having
Yes,
your parents on board is really, really, I mean, it's really hard, right? Because that's your
yes,
first pillar of support. But again, I
yes,
think once you can prove that this is something that's going to work for you, you are very passionate about it, and the money starts coming in, I think,
yes.
eventually, like, even my parents are like so proud of me now, which is like so
Yeah, you
insane
told me
because
this.
it was like, oh, why are you watching YouTube? What are you going to get out of YouTube, right? And this is back in college when
Yes,
I was trying to prep for these aptitude tests, and I was just on YouTube because that's how I learned. I was just looking at
yes.
these concepts
We
and
all, yeah,
yeah, YouTube is our teacher, right? YouTube is our online
yes,
classroom, has
exactly.
been, and they thought I was crazy. And then once I got into Bosch, they were like, what? YouTube? And and then they were like,
Yes,
my daughter was like on YouTube the whole time and then she cracked it and she's this and that. So yeah, I mean, parents
great.
love to like show off their children's achievements, and we also want to make them proud, but that should not be your guiding principle in life. that you want
Yes,
them to be proud of you. By default, they should be proud of you. If they're not, that's their, their issue.
that's their mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, that's their mistake. I mean, you're their child. That's automatic. The pride should be automatic.
Hmm. Yes.
And also like just be able to like support them. Again, I understand it's not a reality for a lot of people, because doing all of this, it's a risk, and that a risk is a privilege. But still, just having that sort of support, if you don't have it from your parents, have a very good support system when it comes to people around you, like your colleagues or your friends, people that you can talk to, mentors. Because without
Yes.
that, you can be in a very dark place full of like self-doubt and all
Exactly.
of that. So like really, I mean, amazing stories like with both of your friends.
Yeah, just to name the university, it is School of Inspired Leadership. So, which is, too good for
Amazing.
HR. Yeah, after this, after Tata Institute of, the HR,
Brilliant.
they are actually too good for HR related post graduation. So it is basically a 1 year course that they are doing really well. So for people who wants to take their career in the HR domain, so they definitely have to check these universities.
Brilliant. And okay, I know we again got off track, but people can reach out to you to learn more about approaching people on LinkedIn, side hustles, how to get started, because that 4 day story is amazing. And
Yeah,
also product marketing, SaaS, marketing in
yeah, product.
general,
Yeah.
and also cricket, right? You love cricket, so people can talk to
Yes,
you about that.
yes, I love cricket. So yeah. So SaaS marketing and product marketing is something that is new, and every day is a new day, and I'm learning a lot. So yeah, definitely, I'll be happy to share my learnings with you, whatever I've learned till now. So because of people like you and in the network, other people in the network, so I'm just learning from them. So yeah, and if you want an expert level advice on product marketing or SaaS marketing, so definitely I'll be happy to share my insights. But I will also be happy to share another contact who will be the right person to reach out to. So
The
I'll
power
be
of
happy to do
the network, right? That's exactly what
that. Yeah,
happens. If I'm, and I do this all the time, if I'm not the right person, I will connect you to the right person, which
right
is
person.
it's just a beautiful thing, right? People are there's that 6 degrees of separation, right? You are only separated by someone else that you don't know by only 6 people.
Yes.
So pretty interesting to think about that. Amazing. I
Mhm.
mean, so please go follow Kaushik on LinkedIn, and any other social media that you're on. We'll link that if you're open to that. And thank you so so much for agreeing to do this. And to my viewers or people that are listening, just want to say that always remember to bet on people and keep on keeping on. Great. Thank you. Bye bye.